Welcome to Nava Podcast with Leah Cardenas and Stella Pashos.
Let's explore the true essence of Nava.
Nava embodies the concept of beauty in all its forms. It represents the inner radiance that each woman possesses and the unique qualities that make her truly remarkable.
Our mission is to share the stories of inspiring women who are making their mark in the areas of fashion, health, lifestyle, and family. Our aim is to curate meaningful conversations where the journeys and experiences of our guests can inspire you in your own life.
We started this podcast to create a space where everyone can feel beautiful, inspired, and empowered.
Nava is not just a podcast, it's a celebration of the incredible women who have shaped our lives and the countless others who are yet to share their stories.
We can't wait for you to join us. Step into the realm of beauty with us as we embark on a captivating journey with Kasey, the visionary force behind Xali Organics. In this episode, we delve beyond the labels and ingredients to explore the person behind the brand. From her inspirations to her personal ethos, discover the intricate layers of Kasey's story as we navigate through her world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nava Podcast. It is a beautiful, gloomy day in Melbourne, but we have the absolute delight of welcoming Kasey from Xali Organics to the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Kasey, can you just tell our listeners a quick little bit about yourself before we get into the episode?
Yes. Yes, my name is Kasey. I'm the co-founder of Xali Organics. I started Xali with my husband in January 2022. We launched. And prior to that, I was a social worker working with children affected by abuse. So it's a bit of a career shift, but yeah.
Can't wait to get into all of that. But as our listeners know, we love to start the episode with a quick 90 seconds with so we could know some interesting facts about you. And Stella's going to do that one.
All right, cool. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Oh gosh, you're really just throwing me in the deep end first up. Best piece of advice I think would be, I've been told quite a few times to trust my gut, that you know best for what you want out of life and to go after it no matter what. So
that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. What is your morning routine?
I actually feel like winning the morning is winning the day. I really believe in that. So I like to get up early, like well before I actually need to be awake. I love to move my body in the morning, and I actually just moved to the beach. So when Melbourne's not disgusting like it is today, I love to go for a walk on the beach and get out and get my feet in the sand. So yeah.
Oh, that's so good. It's something just therapeutic about the ocean. I live
100%.
Bayside too, and it's just nice. Just in the mornings, even when it's freezing, my partner runs into the water and I'm like, no thanks, enjoy. But just being around the water is really nice.
100%.
Where did you grow up, Kasey?
I grew up in southeast Melbourne.
If you had to eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh. At the moment, I would say like Japanese.
Yum.
Yeah.
And a couple more. Share a fun childhood memory that always makes you smile.
I'm one of 5, so we got up to some stuff, me and my siblings, but I think like we grew up in a classic 90s like court of, and everyone used to play together and like it was real wholesome childhood vibes. So anything to do with my childhood, I had a good childhood.
And what is one word to describe yourself?
Maybe like sure of myself, like I generally will back who I am or what I'm doing, or sure of myself. Sure.
Yeah. No, nailed it. Leah, do you want to ask your favorite question?
If you were a flavor of ice cream, what would you be? And I want to hear the explanation.
Like not eating it, like being it?
Yeah, a lot of people answer it as if they're like choosing the flavor, but no.
Okay, being ice cream.
Yeah.
Maybe something like choc chip or like hokey pokey. And I would say it's because I'm not like crazy, but I'm not boring either. There's a bit more than meets the eye. You know what I mean?
You're not vanilla.
No, not plain old vanilla.
For everyone listening, she's giving us crazy eyes. I know she said she's not crazy, but I'm just joking.
Now, for our listeners,
Mm.
I actually know Kasey from back in the day when I used to try to play soccer.
What do you mean? You were good. She was
I forgot
good.
about this part of the story.
I was so bad. Kasey was like the best one on the team. And there I am just running around in circles pretending I'm doing something.
No, it was great. That was a long time ago now.
So long ago. And we were like in the first season, we're in the seconds team. We lost every game. There was no pressure, but it was so much fun.
The trials and tribulations. What positions did you guys play?
I don't even know. I was on a wing.
Were you on the bench, Leah?
Sometimes.
Oh, no, you were good. Those were the days.
Yeah. But Kasey, so you used to be a social worker and now you run an amazing skincare company that's doing really well. Please talk to us about that transition.
Yeah, so I worked in social work and I worked as with children who were affected by primarily sexual abuse. So very, very heavy job and heavy content. I was very passionate about it. I still am, but it's a pretty heavy job to do. And I found myself coming home just emotionally depleted, like had absolutely nothing to give. And I remember saying to Michael, who was just my partner at the time, like, I can't do this when we get married and have kids because I will have nothing to give you and nothing to give them. And it just seeped into every other area of my life. And he was a carpenter. And he had been a carpenter since he was 18 and he started to get like early signs of arthritis in his hands. And he was like, well, I also can't do this forever. So we got to start thinking about like, what do we want out of life? And so we did. And we we're kind of on like more of like a self-development journey than anything. And listening to podcasts and just like trying to figure out, what life would look like for us. And it all kind of rolled into one in the end, but we wanted to start a business and I had this idea for Xali and we just went for it, to be honest. Yeah.
That's so cool. And I love that you were both in that same headspace at the same time. Obviously, it sounds like there was a bit of transition and thinking and researching before you jumped into it, but that's really cool that you're doing it together.
Yeah, it is. It's been amazing. I'm grateful because I don't know that I could have done it on my own and vice versa. I don't think he could have done it on his own. It's been really good.
Where does the name Xali come from?
To be honest, just a little bit of force of hand. Like I loved this Italian word that meant like clean and like healthy, and I was like planning the whole brand around it, and it was similar to Xali. It was just had like a couple of letters changed, whatever. And I did all this planning, designing, whatever. And then last step, here's a hot tip if you want to start a business. First step when you're picking a name is to check trademarks and other business names that are registered. So anyway, we just pivoted. I actually love Xali way more than than the other word. So I'm stoked that we were forced into it because I would probably name one of my kids that if I didn't name my business it. I love the name. So yeah. It has no real meaning, to be honest.
No, that's really cool. We actually had another guest on, Yong Lee from Mbachi. She's also in the skincare space, a luxury Australian retailer. And she said the exact same thing about the naming convention. She's like, number one. And she actually listed a service. I can't remember what the title of that position is, but she was like, go and speak to this person that can tell you all the legalities around names and trademarks. And did you fall into some challenges around that?
No challenges, but I just think it's like, speaking personally, like I was super naive, I think, with a lot of those things. And we didn't start out, I mean, obviously we hoped the business would be successful, but we didn't think it would get on anyone's radar at all. And I'm just glad that we listened to certain podcasts where they said, even if you think it's not going to be anything, do this, this, and this, because it's kind of saved our ass like now. So, yeah.
So you launched in 2022. Or was that when you decided to start Xali? Can you talk to us about the process? Because it's only now 2024, so it's quite a short period of time. What's kind of evolved along the way?
So we launched in 22, but it was a few years of building the business in the lead up to that. So it's probably been like four-ish years of, conceptualizing and then launching Xali. But I would say that our first year was really a trial run. Like, we had no idea what we were doing. We're both working our full-time jobs. It was really like just something on the side that was live, but we didn't know what we were doing. But we really gave it a red hot crack starting 2023, and that's really when we started to get a lot of momentum. So 2023 started to get some momentum, and it's really been like a bull at a gate since we really gave it a crack. And I think we just didn't understand how to put ourselves out there as a business. And when we understood marketing and like what our point of difference was and how to communicate that to customers, that's when we really started running with it. And now we're at the point where we are massively, it's exceeded our expectations. We're building out a team. We're in our own office. It's just like, it's been mind blowing. So, and we've still, like, I feel like we've barely started, to be honest. Like you said, it has only been 2 years, but yeah, it feels like just the beginning, to be honest.
That's so exciting. What was the pivotal moment that you feel really projected the business in terms of your, I guess, marketing strategy? I know you did that iconic cutting the eyelashes. Was that the moment? What was the moment?
I think that would have to be the moment. Like, I literally still get people saying, like, are you the girl who chopped off her eyelashes? So I think I'd have to say that is like a very pivotal moment. That it was that concept and like talking about that actually got a PR guy in contact with us, and he said, oh, one of my other clients told me about this, that you were thinking of doing this, like, I want to be a part of it. He thought I was absolutely nuts. I still think I'm nuts, so he's not wrong, but it worked really well because it just proves to our customers that we believe in our product. Like, there was a time where everything that was online, like, people would just buy anything. And then I think there's so much online now, and people have had bad experiences with buying things online that are sold or marketed really well, but maybe don't do what they say they do. And so there's like a lack of trust, I find, with consumers and people selling online or marketing online. And I think this really, like, and we've been told that, like, when I saw you chopped off your lashes, it like, it gave me this confidence that I could try your product. We got featured on 7 News as well as part of a news segment around like the dangers of lash serums and that you need to be careful of certain ingredients. So that was good. But when we understood how we could leverage that coverage to market to our customers, that's really when we started to be able to, get our product in front of a really big audience.
So coming from a social worker background and your partner being in construction, where did you start to form the idea for this business?
The idea, so like in terms of, I think they're two kind of separate concepts. So like I said, we were doing a bit of a personal development journey. So we were kind of like working out what we wanted to do. We got really interested in people who start their own businesses and like how they do it, like just fascinated in like the psychology, I think, that their own personal development that they do before they do that. I think it's all like really linked. And then the idea for Xali kind of happened at the same time. So I went to my naturopath. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is super common for women. And I went to my naturopath and we were working on a whole bunch of things. But one thing she said to me is, I want you to go home and have a look in your cupboard and see if you have any products with these ingredients. And all of my products had them. One of the ingredients was fragrance. So I started to do a bit of a deep dive, and like fragrance can encapsulate a whole list of different ingredients, and it's like an industry secret. So you don't have to list what's in there, so you can't avoid certain things. So they can hide a lot of things under that ingredient. But yeah, there was heaps. So I started to look at trying to replace those products, and I could find stuff, but not easily. It was not cute. Like, It's not like the cute stuff you buy at Mecca or Sephora. And it was expensive. So I kind of was like, hang on, like, I know PCOS is so common for women. I know that, like, all women need to be avoiding endocrine disrupting ingredients, and it's not super accessible or known, I guess, that these ingredients are harmful to us in our beauty products. So I just did a huge deep dive on the industry, and just out of my own interest, and I kind of came to Michael and I'm like, I think I have an idea. He thought it was a bit too ambitious, and to be honest, it was. I think I was very naive, but I liked that I'd found something that I was passionate about, and I think resonated with me, and I knew would resonate with a lot of other women, and I just kind of started going with that, and here we are.
That's so exciting. And for our listeners that don't know, what are some of the products that Xali does?
So our best-selling product, and if you've heard of us, it's probably because of our lash growth serum, because that is probably our most marketed product. But we also have like a very small range of skincare and hair care. So we have a glow oil, which is like a basic facial oil. We have a toner and hydrating mist. We have a scalp scrub, and then we've got some little beauty accessories as well. But we have a huge range of new products in the works that we hope to release in the next 6 to 12 months. So if you're interested in our brand, stay tuned because we have a lot coming.
That's so exciting. And I guess circling back to what you're saying about the chemicals and ingredients in our products and how they can affect women is just awful that it's just not known.
Yeah. And I think that's in everything in life. And I think, like, I don't talk about this to freak people out. I think sometimes it can make people super overwhelmed when they're like, oh, not another thing that's bad for you. But I also think just being able to make informed decisions and even choosing just a better option or knowing what to avoid. And I do think that consumers are getting a lot smarter with this stuff. They're getting smarter with it, with, like, their foods and looking at the ingredients. And there's some really nasty ingredients like, red coloring and all that stuff. Like, people know that they need to be avoiding. And I do think Xali was maybe a little bit ahead of, or right in the perfect time of, being part of a bit of a revolution. Not a revolution, but like, I think people are getting smarter and they're more aware, and I think we're going to be, and I hope that we can be, a brand that grows with that and allows people to have a brand that they have confidence are not putting any of those ingredients in their products.
Though your brand stemmed from this notion, this idea of trying to remain clean and healthy and be safe for people with that condition, that's not the way you've decided to market it. Is that because your current strategy is more successful, or is that something you're going to lean towards later? Interesting.
Yeah, a little bit of both. We were also very nervous about talking about our products and then talking about a health condition and getting scrutiny from customers, but also the legalities around that, and just being very careful with that. It's definitely something that we want to consider, not even want to consider, but we want to do a lot of education alongside our brand. So, like, have a blog and have, like, community pages and things like that.
For us as well, being a very young brand podcast, it's a challenge to really find your target market, your audience, and how to market to it. So I think that's really great that you guys have found such a successful way to do that and grow so quickly. That's a real credit to you guys.
And staying true to your values and your ethics as well.
We'll be back
after a short break.
Mama and Bird is giving Nava listeners a special 25% off their entire order with code NAVA25. That's NAVA 25. Offer expires 30th of June 2024. Now let's get back to the conversation.
Beyond Xali, what are some of your hobbies and interests that you enjoy doing if you have the time?
Yeah, I don't want to promote like, hustle culture or anything like that. But to be honest, like I really love what I do. Like I love it. And so we do that a lot. And people do think we're a bit nuts and always tell us to like, oh, like do something for yourself. I'm like, this is kind of for myself. Like I really love it. But yeah, like I said, we just moved to the beach. So we're loving that change and trying to spend some time, just letting the nervous system settle down a little bit. We're trying to travel a bit when we can. So we actually go to Japan next week for my husband's 30th. So
That's so exciting. I love Japan. I've been several times.
yeah, I've heard the best things. It's been high on our list. So we're excited to do that. And then we're big family people. So when we're not working, we're really like, we've got 13 nieces and nephews. So
Wow.
we just spend time with them. We're obsessed with them. So trying to fit that in. But no, we love it. So it's not, we don't try and separate it too much from like our everyday life.
That's so great. When you love what you do, it doesn't feel, though I know it's very tiring, it doesn't feel like a job because you just live and breathe it. That's part of who you are.
Yeah, 100%. Doesn't feel like I'm like going to work or doing work. It's like, it's part of life now. A little bit. Yeah.
That's awesome. You're really selling us the dream.
Sorry. It is still hard, but I do.
Of course it is, yeah. But having that passion just keeps you motivated and engaged and just excited to see what's next.
Yeah.
For myself and for a lot of our listeners, can you talk us through, from the idea, then like what do you do with the idea? How do you research manufacturers? How do you bring your brand concept to life? Like how do you piece all these pieces of the puzzle together and really formulate a strategy to go to market?
Yeah. I'll try to summarize it. People have asked me this, and to be honest, I just think back and I'm like, wow, I was so naive when I started, and thank goodness I was, because when I try and outline everything that I did, I'm like, wow, that was like a lot of steps and a lot of work, and it was the naivety that let me, and the excitement that let me, keep going. But it really was like scrappy as anything. Our business has been built on really like scrappy, just figuring it out as we go. But I think that's awesome. And I think that's what like small business is. It was literally just Googling. Like I Googled what I wanted to create in terms of like our first, like pretty much our line that we have now. I was like, okay, I want to make these products. What do I want in there? What are like amazing ingredients for our skin? Like I just educated myself as much as I could, had these concepts, and then I just Googled. I made this huge list of Australian manufacturers that do non-toxic products, use organic ingredients, use natural ingredients, and I just cold emailed. And it was really rough because most of them didn't reply, or they were like, oh, our minimum order quantity is 10,000 units per piece, and to make a formulation, it costs $10,000. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So it was overwhelming, like for sure. But it was just trial and error. We started with really small local manufacturers who work with small businesses, and we learnt a lot. To date, I'd say the manufacturing has been my biggest challenge in the business, and trying to understand that industry and trying to get that process seamless. And it's still not to this day. We're still trying to, as we grow, find new manufacturers and stuff. But I would say you've just honestly, there's no perfect way to do it. Like if you're someone who's thinking, oh, I want to start a business and I want to create my own products, there's no like pretty, here's an instruction list of how to do it. You kind of just got to ask the question and not be afraid to like be knocked back or rejected or told like that's, people were like, absolutely not, we're not going to work with you. Like you just like on to the next, if you've got somewhere you want to get to, like reverse engineer it. Like I want to get here. So I've got to figure out the rest of these steps back, and just ask the question. But yeah, Google is my best friend, long story short.
Yeah. In terms of like an upfront financial investment when you guys started this business. A lot of people that are looking to start businesses have that cloudiness over them. Like, I don't want to have that financial investment. Like, there's other things I could be investing in. Like, what was that for you guys, and how did you make that decision? Like, obviously everyone's situation is different and it's whatever you're comfortable with in your own circumstance, but you had to be curious to understand that.
Yeah. To be honest, I actually don't know. We were renovating our house at the time and we put that on hold. And I know, like, if I can think back, I know, like, to get our initial packaging, like all the initial costs of setting up, you know, registering a domain and all that stuff. And then the formulation and getting the first product done, I would say you'd be looking at like 10 to 20 grand, 10 in Australia, and with the ingredients that we wanted to use and all of that stuff, and we wanted really high quality like packaging. Yeah, I think it was like 10 to 20 grand. But in saying that, I think that can be just the start of it, unless you have a really good organic marketing strategy. Like, I wish we started when TikTok was popping off for small businesses. We have invested a lot of money into this business. We actually decided to sell our house when the interest rates were going to go up and they were talking about all of that. We pretty much said to each other, like, we are not, like, all of our savings are going into the business, and we're like, we're definitely not going to be able to do both. We're not going to be able to service the high interest rates and build Xali, so we kind of got to pick one. And that was terrifying. Like, that was the biggest risk I think we've ever taken on the business or on ourselves. And it's not like we were like, oh, all of that money into the business, but we then were really like, okay, like we've sold our house, like there's a big chunk of money there. We got married and stuff as well, so that helped. But I would say, yeah, if you're just getting the product in your hand, like, you're probably looking at 10 to 15 grand just to get one product in your hand. So it's
scary.
It is scary. Yeah.
But for some people, once the business is bigger, it sounds like nothing. But when you're starting from, oh, this is on the side, and you know, all those other big things you were saying, that's pretty yeah.
It's a big chunk. And again, I think, like, that's where that naivety really worked in our favor. And I think my biggest tip, something we told ourselves from the start, like, obviously you've got to have a really good concept or product market fit. You've got to know how you're going to leverage your product against other people's. You've got to know all that stuff and go in with a bit of a level head. But at the end of the day, we just told ourselves, like, failure is just not an option. Like, if we're going in, we're going to do it and we are going to make this work. Like, because otherwise, as soon as you, like, it could just be, it's like that, you know, that picture where the guy's like chipping away to get the gold. And he stops, and he could have just got it in a couple more chips. Like,
he was so close. Yeah.
Like, it's really like one thing could just break open the floodgates and you're off and your business is going. And, like, yeah, sure, you don't take that money for a long time. Like, full transparency, I didn't pay myself for until we started paying ourselves at the end of last year from the business. So like 2 years. And there was a long time where I wasn't working and we were living off our savings and Michael's, like, I wasn't earning, sorry. And we're living off Michael's income and our savings. And, you know, it is really scrappy and it's really scary. Like, doing that in our late 20s when you're meant to be like setting your life up was really scary. But it has honestly been the best investment we could have made, both financially and just in life, like our joy and our happiness in life, you know, which is obviously the best part of the business, is that we're both loving what we do every day. So, yeah, it's a big financial investment, but I do think I'd rather spend my money on something, even if this failed. I'd rather look back and be like, I'm really glad we gave it a crack. I don't think I would have had any regrets.
Yeah, that's awesome. My partner always says, his best advice is always, when you don't know how something is going to unfold, that's where the real magic happens. And it's so true. Like, I feel like when you don't know what you don't know, then you're more likely to take risks that someone that does know would never do. And it takes you into a land that could be so scary to some people, but not having the naivety in that situation just really just propels you into this whole other realm. So yeah, can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
So you've talked about your business starting to grow now. You've got a space, you're building a team. I'd love to know what you and Michael's roles are in the business. What are you kind of working on at the moment? Obviously, at the beginning, you did everything. But what's your focus at the moment?
I would say we're still in a really big transition phase. And I think it will be like this for the next at least a year, where we're like still hovering between in and on the business. So we have a team who pack our orders every day. They pick and pack. I'm still kind of like setting up systems and operations that work really well. So I'm still kind of involved in it, but otherwise it's, I've really handed that part of the business over. But our day-to-day is a lot of, unfortunately, business admin, a lot of accounting stuff, a lot of stuff for our accountant and bookkeeper, a lot of marketing. We still handle a lot of like our creators and creatives, our like PR. We handle all of our stock and logistics and working with like all of our subcontractors that we work with, and then managing the team, which is kind of the new side of, everything that we're managing. And I think that for me is a little bit scary because I want something I always dreamed of having a team so that I could provide people with a workplace that they loved coming to, but it's good to say one thing and then you've got to implement it. So it's been something that now I'm like, okay, I need to start reading some books and listening to some podcasts, like how to be a good leader. But yeah, like the short gist of it is that we've got two customer service girls who handle the customer side of it for the most part. I reply to all of our Facebook comments still because it's just something I really like to do because I like to hear the feedback and like communicate with our customers a little bit, but it is getting a bit overwhelming. But yeah, we're in the process of trying to push out some of the tasks that we do in the day-to-day so we can do more of the product development and the stuff I love doing. Yeah. Where the brand's going, the brand planning and all of that stuff.
That's so cool. And speaking of customer feedback, did you have a phase where you did product testing and questionnaires and things like that?
We didn't then. We didn't have a whole customer base when we brought out our first 4 like main products. It was my family and friends. Like I even remember there's some products we never brought to market just because we moved manufacturers and stuff. But like I remember testing like face masks on my mum and my sister and even Michael. And I was like, what does everyone think? What are the feels? But it's definitely something like now that we've started to build a little community, we've got, really regular customers who come back time and time again and talk to us all the time. We definitely want to create, a bit of a VIP group who we can talk to and get feedback from and get them to try things that we're thinking about and just make sure that we're on track for what our community wants. And like, it's one thing to do what the market wants, but like we have an amazing community that really got around us, particularly when we were on like the news and stuff. They saw that we were, a young couple, an Aussie couple, and they were like, I want to support these guys because of that. So getting their feedback and making sure we're bringing stuff to market that they love is really important to us as well. So that's definitely our plans for the new product development that's going on at the moment. Yeah.
That's so cool.
I was going to ask just about some things you mentioned earlier. So you said that you guys were like on a personal development journey and we're looking into like a lot of resources and educating yourselves through podcasts. And it seems like education for you is like something you continuously go back to in that self-development piece. Were there any, like, did you guys go on a retreat? Did you do any, like, what kind of stuff did you guys turn to on that journey?
I wish it was that glamorous. I wish it was a Bali retreat, but no, we honestly, for Michael, I know he listens to a podcast called My First Million and he used to work by himself. He had his own business and he would just listen to podcasts for like 8 to 10 hours a day. And like, because he wasn't enjoying carpentry anymore. And so he was like, I'm just going to get like pumped to go home and then work on Xali. So yeah, I think, his favorite one is like My First Million, and it's just these two guys who talk about their businesses, how they built it, everything that goes into it. Same for me. It was like I've read a couple of books, but I find podcasts more efficient with my time, like driving to work and stuff. And I would just find people that were doing something different in life and try and find if they were on a podcast and listen to what they had to say, listen to their mindset, what they were doing differently. I just wanted to understand, I guess, the personality or the attitude or the mentality it takes to do something different in life and take some risks and, I don't know, live a bit of a different life to the regular 9 to 5. And, you know, I think you do need to be a little bit delulu to step out and like make yourself vulnerable to do something on the side. And so we'll just, it was a lot of podcasts, I found like other Aussie small business owners and just listened to their podcasts. And yeah, that's where I learned a lot of stuff. And I would highly recommend that. I still do that to this day. Like I said, like whenever I've got something that I'm like thinking about a lot, or I'm like, I don't know where to go with this, I'll try find a podcast or a book. And I think you take what resonates with you out of it, and it just helps you to move to the next level a little bit with different things that you're facing. So yeah.
That's so cool. You've gone full circle. Now you're that person that someone's listening to on a podcast.
Maybe.
That's awesome.
I want to know, what legacy do you hope to leave through your work at Xali Organics? What's your big vision, you know, the one at the very top that you hope to reach at some point?
I guess for Xali as a brand, I would love it to be, you know, a brand that people don't even have to question, don't have to turn it around to look at the ingredients. They know that they're going to get a quality product. They don't have to worry about its safety. They don't have to worry about whether it's got any ingredients in it. And I'd love to be accessible in terms of like on shelves everywhere. Just so that it's, I mean, not even for the size of the business, but I think just to have a reputation that people are like, oh, that's a safe brand. They have clean ingredients. And they're, you know, it started as an Aussie small business, I think would be a really, really cool thing to leave behind or create for especially women and young girls that have, not even girls that have hormone issues, because I think you don't have to be diagnosed with something to be hormonally affected by the products that we use, even unknowingly. So just to be able to recognize that the industry is a little flawed in a lot of ways and provided an alternative. But then personally as well, I think a big motivation for me and something I think I'd love to step into is like a bit of like encouraging people to find something that they're passionate about, and to take the risk. And like, life's short. Like I never thought I would be doing something like this. But it was just like being like, I'm not happy in my job. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do, but I'm not happy in the day-to-day, and being okay to put myself out there to completely flip my life around, to find something that makes me excited to wake up in the morning and I don't get the Sunday scaries anymore. So I do want to do something myself in terms of like helping other people to find what that is for them and wake up and enjoy, you know, not just the weekend, but 7 days of the 7-day week.
That's really cool. That's bringing your parts of your social worker aspects of that career into your current job. Yeah. That's awesome.
Thanks.
So Nava represents the core values we explore in our podcast, and each letter of Nava stands for an essential aspect of personal and professional growth. And N stands for navigate. Can you share a technique or strategy you use to stay organized and keep track of your progress and objectives?
In like a simple way, I'm like a lists girl through and through. So I'm writing things down. Anytime an idea comes in my brain, I have things to do. I'm like a list person. So practically, definitely lists. But on a bigger thing, I'm a real visual person, and so is Michael. And we're constantly talking about what our goals are personally, or in different areas of the business or the business in general. Like we have a whiteboard like ahead of me, and on one side of it just has this huge plan of 2023 and what we want to achieve and how we get there. And so I would say in terms of like navigating for Xali, I like to see where I'd like to be, like hypothetically, if we're doing the 1 year plan, where do I want to be? And in December 2024, what does that look like? And then again, I say it again, but like I reverse engineer it back to today. And I'm like, okay, that means we've got to do this in December, this in November, this in October, and work it back so that we can get there. And I think, yeah, figure out how you like to keep your goals at the forefront of your mind and like put that visual up, put quotes around your house. I know some girls love to have like quotes and affirmations on their mirrors, like have something in front of you that's going to keep you moving towards the goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah, that's really good, because I think what you are constantly feeding yourself, seeing, investing in, that's what ends up coming to fruition.
100%.
Yeah.
So A is for aspire. Are there particular role model or influencers that have helped you get to where you are today?
Apart from Google.
Shout out to Google.
Shout out Google. Yeah, I think personally, Michael was actually the one who really wanted to like change what we were doing in the day to day. And he's a really like disciplined person. Like I would come home and be like, I cannot be bothered working on Xali, like when I was doing social work. And he'd be like, you've got to think of the end goal, like super motivating. He was always so disciplined, so focused on where he wanted to be in life. So he would definitely be someone who inspires me. And that's kind of what I meant by I couldn't have done it without him, because he really kept the momentum there. But then my parents as well, like they have done really well for themselves in life. Nothing crazy, but they also owned their own business, and they're just really humble, really generous. And I think those qualities, even when you're doing well, is like really admirable. It can be like when you work on a business where money is like a metric that you use every single day, and everything can be focused around numbers. I think it's really easy to get sucked into losing humility and generosity, and they do that really well. But then I just also love, I think we're in a cool space in Australia where there's a lot of female Aussie small business owners that are really going for it at the moment. So like just to like rattle one off would be like, Brittany Lee Saunders. Have you seen her? She owns Fate the Label. People like her who are just going for it and doing some different stuff and putting themselves out there. I think it's really cool. So, yeah.
That's so wholesome. I love that your partner is your inspiration.
I hope he doesn't listen to this. He's going to get a big head.
Ground yourself.
Yes.
V is for value. Can you share a practice or routine that you find valuable for maintaining your well-being?
I'm a Christian, so I'd say prayer is massive for me. A lot of things overwhelm me very easily. Like I like to think I know what I'm doing with Xali, but really I'm just trusting my gut and going after stuff. So being able to be like, no matter what happens with Xali, if it's all gone tomorrow, I know like I'll be okay. I know that I have peace in the plan that God has for me and for Michael. But then I would also say, like I said before, like win the morning, win the day. I think it's really important to set yourself up before you go into the world and all the chaos that life has in store, like going on a walk, getting up before the day, not rushing. I used to be someone who used to just rush everywhere, like wake up at the last minute, really quickly get ready. And I just felt like I was always chasing the day. So yeah, get up nice and early, do some stuff for you and face the day.
So A is for achieve, and I'm going to change this question a little bit just because I'm curious and we haven't asked this yet, but how pivotal was a marketing strategy in the success of your business so far?
I'd actually say it's everything. You can have a really good idea, a really good product. It can be completely different to anything that's out there. Not that I'm saying Xali is, but you could tick every box, but if you can't get it in front of your customer, how are you going to sell it to them? How are you going to grow your business? And I think we completely did not even really think about marketing when we started. We didn't have any kind of plan. And that's what I meant by like the first year was like learning. We learned that lesson, like what good is a good product if you can't get it in front of people, and how are you going to market it? So I even say to people who come to me with like ideas, like how are you going to get that to someone? Like if Meta and like Facebook ads is your avenue that you're going to go down, what's going to convince someone and what's going to get them to stop and look at your ad and be like, yep, I need to try this. So I really think it's imperative if you, especially as an online business, I'm obviously talking for online businesses but even smaller businesses, I think everything's online these days. Word of mouth's amazing, but to get it first in people's hands so that it can become word of mouth, you've still got to have a good marketing strategy.
You can't just assume, Instagram is going to make me go viral. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So when it came to your marketing strategy, did you do that together or did you invest in some professional?
We came up with that. And in terms of the concept of the content, we came up with that. But we have an incredible ad buyer called Leo, who's now one of our really good friends. And he definitely, it's funny because early days he was like, you guys are working so hard, but like, it's just not, like, it's a super hard niche. Like, are you sure you want to do Xali? And now we laugh about that because it's taken off and it's doing super well. But yeah, you've got to have really good content, but you've got to be able to put it in front of an audience as well. And we're very glad we invested in Leo, and he also invested in us and has helped us. And yeah, it's been a really, really good partnership. So we're very lucky to find him as well.
For those that don't know, like, what is an ad buyer, and why do you need Leo? Why is he imperative?
Yeah, so he does our Meta ads. So all the numbers that come up, I've looked in out. I feel like I've got a really basic understanding of Facebook ads, but it's a bit of a science in terms of how much money you're putting behind ads, how you're setting your ad account up. There's a whole nother sphere of Facebook where businesses have a little portal, and that's where they manage their ads and pay for their ads to be put in front of Facebook users or Instagram users. And Leo manages that side of the business for us. But your ad buyer is only as good as the content you give them. So it's definitely a partnership.
For me, Xali is, I knew the brand from the lash serum.
Yeah.
And, you know, like it's thrown around in conversations with friends at a family function. Someone might be talking about it and your product comes up. So well done on creating kind of like a household name as well. But beyond the lash serum, what is your favorite product, if there is one?
I think my most used product is our Glow Oil. Like, I use that every single day. But in terms of my favorite product, I think it would be the scalp scrub. I think it's like, at the time when I started conceptualizing the scalp scrub, it was like a little bit revolutionary. So I'm someone who gets oily hair really quickly, and so was using dry shampoo, and you just get so much product build up. I love, like, I've got long hair. I love taking care of my hair and growing it. And so I ticked all these boxes, and anyone that tries the scalp scrub loves it. So I love hearing that feedback because it's kind of an idea that I pulled out of nowhere. I mean, it's a thing, but I didn't really know it was a thing. I was like, what's like a problem that I have? Thought about my hair. What are like all the things I want in a hair product, and created the scalp scrub. And yeah, people love it. And if you've ever tried our scalp brush, the best head massage you'll ever have in your life. You will never wash your hair without it again. I've got to send it to you so you can try it.
All right. I was just having a look at your healthy hair bundle, and it comes with like a really beautiful hair comb, and with that it looks
Beautiful.
like a nice self-care ritual.
Well, thank you so much, Kasey, for taking the time out of your busy day, running your business and having a chat to us girls. We had a great time.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love that you guys are doing Nava. Like, I love people just going out and doing something different, following a dream, creating awesome content. Podcasts helped me get here. So well done to you guys too.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you
Kasey.
so much. And enjoy Japan.
Thank you. Can't wait.
That's a wrap for this episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
And remember, you can always find more episodes and updates on our website and social media page. You can find us on Instagram at nava.podcast. Until next time,
Keep chasing your dreams and making your mark on the world.